What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today I will be doing a technical analysis breakdown for a strategy with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So, guys, if you guys want to make a great investment or a trade where you can get 50% return on your investment, you can use my link in the comment section below for a SoFi checking and savings account link, where if you make one, you deposit $50 minimum, you get all $25 back. So that's a 50% return on your investment. So it helps out. I get a little bonus too. You get a bonus. It's a win-win. So if you guys want a free money, a 50% return on investment, take $50, turn it into $75. That $25, would maybe after a little bit of tax, you can get yourself a nice lunch or dinner. So let's take a look at the analysis for today. And you can see that price is, bumping up or pushing up today, but overall still a downtrend. I think the only thing I added was this more steeper downward sloping trend line. As you can see here, every other line and drawing is the same. That's the cool thing about technical analysis is like once you kind of have it set, you just need minor adjustment here and there, especially when it's still in play. So this analysis is still in play, but we just have a more bearish trend line in play as well. This one right here. So downtrend is very steep. It looks like we might break that. MSTR is still a volatile stock, so we could probably break that, maybe come back up to the 325, find resistance, and then continue working our way down to the 235 level, and then possibly even break it to reach the 150. So overall, I think the trend is still down. You can see that this was all one large leg right here. Started the second leg. This one's also at lower prices, like 200 levels. So overall, things are still working its way down for MSTR, even though we're seeing a slight bounce. Why are we seeing a slight bounce? You could find 1,000 different reasons on the chart and even on fundamental or news aspect. But you could say basically it's a little bit overextended. We just broke the prior level at the 300 level, so we could be coming back to retest it for some sort of resistance. A lot of times breakouts don't just have a clean break. Because this broke through, a lot of times they'll just come back to the level and then continue lower. Just like over here, we broke the 360 level. It wasn't a clean break. We eventually came back to it multiple times before being way below it. So sometimes you'll see that. It's rare to see like a clean breakout. And like somewhere right here, even here, back tested for support, then moved up higher before, it moved up higher. So I think that's basically why we're seeing a bounce today. In the grand scheme of things, it's not much. The downtrend channel is still in play. We're still below the EMA. We're still below the bearish trend line, the steeper one. Still below the 328 level, which was prior support. It can turn into resistance. Still below the 360 level. Measure move targets in play towards the downside, 230s, 200, 150. So MSTR is still looking pretty bearish as of right now, technically. Let me go and answer some questions that people had. I'm not answering. My comments are pretty much locked and only being approved because a lot of ignorant and trolls out there, especially a lot of spammers, a lot of trolls. So now there's locked, and I'm approving it based on like if it's anything non-emotional, then it's being approved and reviewed. So let's take a look at some questions real quick. I think someone asked me if I think it's still a good long-term trade, and I still think so. They survived the last bear market. I think they will survive this bear market. They have a lot more Bitcoin. They're a lot smarter. I think they'll definitely be able to overcome, the bear market that's approaching. There's not really a lot of questions out there, mostly just comments. But anyway, if you guys have any more questions, just leave it in the comments, and I'll get to it if I can. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. So what happened to Bitcoin? Well, just in the morning, price dropped down lower from about the 108, 109 level to about 103, 104 levels. So it's below this bearish trend line, as you can see here, and it's tracking towards the 96,000 or the $94,000 level. So keyword is attempt or tracking. So bears are attempting to break out lower. Just like how the bulls had a breakout right here that failed, the bears can have a breakout also that fails. And if this one comes back in the range and breaks out one more time to the top side, I think that's a very bullish move. Even if we don't go all the way down, that's a very bullish move as well. So overall, the macro channel is in play. It has precedence over any short-term price action. I think that's why price is being held, right around this level. It's not ready. It's not ripe enough to, move up higher. A lot of people are going crazy. They think we have topped. They think we're going to start the bear market right now, and that's always on the table. But in the grand scheme of things, we haven't done anything out of the ordinary in this whole bull market. You can see that this correction right here was about a 33% drop. Then we had the next big correction. This was about a 31% drop. Let's take a look at from here. From all-time high to current price, a 15% drop. A 15% drop, and people are going crazy. Like they think we have topped. They're being liquidated. A 15% drop should not be liquidating you unless you're extremely leveraged. And you shouldn't be even extremely leveraged anyway, especially in this phase of the bull cycle. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is not out of the ordinary. This is still within the ballpark range of being an uptrend correction. This was a big correction here, big correction here, big correction here. And then what do you know right after the time played out? After a certain amount of time, a breakdown lower, certain amount of time, breakdown lower, we still made another leg up higher. So this can still have a nice, reversal towards the end of the year, to make a new high of the trend. Even if we do break down lower, I think there's still an opportunity to see at least a good sized bounce. And then if it does roll over, it's going to go something like that. But overall, this is still, a decent looking correction in the grand scheme of things. I don't think this is a top. I think it's a very similar pattern to last correction. You can see that we had a double top right here, 1, 2, and then a range pattern that broke down lower before we went up higher. Same thing right here, except it's more like a triple top, but you can say it's a double top if you combine these two together. On a higher time frame, it'll look like a double top. Even over here, this slight little triple top action. So this is close enough. This pattern is close enough to resemble this one. So we had a range pattern, double top, breakdown lower, failed, and then we rallied. Double top, range, breakdown lower, failed, then a rally. So it's almost like a repeat pattern of this last correction. I'm going to copy these bars and drag it over. So something like this. You can see how well, that's kind of playing out right now. So we could do something like this. Anyway, it's just basically still within the trend tolerance. Fail breakout lower is most likely going to happen. I think, if it does drop, I want to see a quick drop down lower. I want this thing to crash, get really overextended on the bottom, and then rip up higher. We need that, kind of slingshot move to get into, new all-time high territory. Any kind of more sideways trading or taking his time is not enough momentum to break through that triple top. We need a slingshot move. So I want it to crash down lower and then quickly reverse up higher. That is pretty much, I'd say, the best bet. Or if it's really bullish, just start reversing right now. Like we already have seen the bottom, and then we start ripping up higher. Those are the two most bullish situations that you want to see to break through this high, because any more sideways trading, any more wasting time, then we most likely just going to continue trading sideways and then just roll over, and then the trend will just give up. So you want to see kind of the volatility increase. I want to see like a crash down lower. It was working its way down, but it kind of stalled out. This might be it right here. I think on one exchange, the Bitcoin price got to like $98,000 or something like that. I think that was the Kraken exchange. I think they want to get down there. On a lot of exchanges, they already had a double test of the lows. On that Kraken exchange, let me see if I could pull it up right here. See how they did not come back down to this prior low right here on that crash down? I think they want to finish what they started, maybe make a double test on this exchange too, and then rip up higher, which would coincide with that mid to low 90s level on the other exchanges. So I think that's what they're trying to do. But if they fail to do it, that's even more bullish, right? Because they couldn't excel in reaching the target. So we'll see what happens there. But Bitcoin, I think it's nothing to worry about right now. It's still looking pretty good to me. I still think it's going to trend up higher. It's still within the tolerance of a correction. Barely any drop. Still enough time in the bull cycle. I mean, everything's still pretty much fine. But if we go lower than 90,000, then that's kind of a red flag. If we're in mid to late November and we're still not making a new all-time high, that's probably like a red flag as well. So again, it's up in the air, but I think overall it's still tracking to make a new high. And then Bitcoin's price divided by MSTR's price, it gets this ratio. Looks like a slight outperformance in MSTR today against Bitcoin, but overall the trend is still up, and most likely we'll see Bitcoin continue to outperform MSTR unless we see a sudden break of the bullish trend line. I would remain optimistic for Bitcoin to outperform MSTR. So that's all I have for Bitcoin against Bitcoin and MSTR. It looks like we're seeing a slight bounce, but this is still bearish, and it looks like it's tracking towards the mid 90s, which is still okay. That's technically what you want to see. I want to see a nice bounce from the support side of the channel after an overextension. I mean, that's really primed for a nice breakout higher. And then for MSTR, well, this would probably pull back further, but overall, it's pretty much looking kind of like a top. We're pretty much at the same price level as in just another few weeks, less than a month, same price level as last year. So that's all I have for MSTR Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ratio chart for right now. This is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.